Now that we've rigged both the arms and the legs, we should be used to some of the basic practices that go into parent-child rigging. If you've been following along and you've rigged the arms as well as the legs, you should be used to how the parent-child hierarchies work in Toon Boom Harmony. We're going to step this up a notch by rigging the head. And the difference is there's going to be a lot more elements that are involved, as well as we're going to be nudging things forward and backward using the z-index. So the document I'm using is the Cmpr rigging head document, which you can find in chapter 2. And what I want to first take a look at, I'll go ahead and grab my transform tool, and I'll click on the head. And in this document, I've basically set everything back up the way it would be in its default position. So we want the head to parent the mouth, the eyes, as well as the hair. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the eyebrows, hold down my shift key, grab the eyes and the mouth layer. And I'll click to drag these right on top of the head, so the head is now the parent of these. Now if we look up in our camera view, all of a sudden we can't see the eyes or the mouth. We can see the one eyeball over here, but that's going to be moving shortly. So what we'll need to do is we want to bring these to the front. Now if you look at our layers in our timeline, the head is above all of these, as it should be, because that's going to be the parent. So I'm going to hold down my shift key and make sure all three of these layers are selected, the eyebrows, the eyes, and the mouth. Now I'll come up here to the camera view. I'll click once to make sure everything's selected, and I'm clicking right on that little pivot point. I'm going to hold down my Option key, Alt and PC, and I'll press my down arrow once. And the way you can look at this is the down arrow is the one that's pointing toward you. So I'm going to press this once to bring those elements toward me on the z-index. Okay, so even though the head is above all these other layers, we've nudged these layers forward on the z-index. Okay, and the next thing I want to do is we're going to bring the hair also under the head. So I'll click and drag this directly under the head. And this looks a little bit weird here. So with all of these still selected, I'll go to my camera view and I'm going to click once right on the pivot point. I'm going to hold down my Option key, press the down arrow once. And so that moves the hair forward. Now there's one other thing we're going to do with the design of Cmpr, and this is based off of a cartoon I saw, I believe it was Star versus the Forces of Evil, and it's playing around with how the eyes are set in front of the hair. So to do this, we'll select the eyebrows, hold on our shift key and select the eye layer, and we'll come up and click on the pivot point just to make sure it's selected. And I'll hold down my Option key, Alt on PC, and I'll press the down arrow once more. And now we've actually brought those in front of the hair. All right. And last but not least, we need to grab the hair that is the back of the hair here. And we'll place this under the head, so it's parented by the head. I'll grab all my extra layers here, everything except for the back of the hair, and move that above. I'm going to zoom out here. And we now have that set up. So now if I click on the head, We see the pivot point here. If I decide to rotate the head, we see all of the pieces moving along with it. So do Command Z, Control Z on PC. And we'll go ahead and collapse that parent hierarchy. And with that, we've finished rigging the head. So when it comes to creating parent-child hierarchies, you can override what's happening on your layers just by a few quick key commands and moving items backward and forward on the Z-index.